Aloha NITHYANANDA. Good evening. Let's start with a prayer for communion and oneness. You're welcome to say your tradition's prayer. I prefer silence. Thank you. So, today is day 14th of the 25 days of Force Majeure Christmas. My apologies, it's a little cold for Hawaii and I'm shaking because it's cold. So, having a little trouble with using the mouse. So bear with me. Thank you so much for understanding. So let's get started. I'm gonna do this. That's right, I forgot. I'll be right back. I gotta go and double check the tech check. Interesting, it's not coming up. Comes up over here. Well, it is what it is, and we're just gonna have to move forward. Hopefully. Oh no, it works. It's working out. Okay, awesome. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Okay, so welcome to day 14. Decolonize your mind. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. I'm gonna be continuing from yesterday's presentation on decolonizing your mind, and I have a feeling that this is going to be the theme for the rest of for this series, or the rest of the series, because it's a very complex problem, because going into the whole narcissism and this and that as well, and the source of those those behavior patterns. All it is a behavior pattern that has been imposed upon everyone due to enslavement. So, but before that, want to do some local updates here. I wanted to share what are we consciously perpetuating, and I'm wanting to inspire normalizing Normalizing it, meaning handmade gifts, digital gifts, regifting, secondhand gifts, consumable gifts, experience gifts, and small business gifts. Especially everybody who lives in Hawaii or islanders, people who live in islands, understand that whatever comes stays. It doesn't leave. And so I can't speak for other places, but here in Hawaii, we have mountains and mountains of trash that they just kind of pile over, and then they make parks or something of it. But it doesn't go in, and also there's the leakage into the water in the ocean, and so those are challenges and problems that we continuously face as islanders. So that's something I wanted to promote, as well as just everything's becoming a very complex world we're living in. And so I wanted to share some of the events on Mokuo Ke'awe that are going on. There is this for this weekend. Taste of Puna event space grand opening gala. They have vendors, music, and food. So bring your chair, your lawn chair with you. I was going to put the link to these in the description, but I'm going to have to get back to put it up there afterwards. So my apologies. Then the nation of Hawaii presents Pu'u Honua Makeke, a marketplace to showcase products, services, and business from Pu'u Honua across Hawaii. It's this Saturday from 9 to 3. They are giving away free bread and eggs for the first 100 ohana that sign up at the Food Sovereignty booth for Hawaii Food Alliance in partnership with Nation of Hawaii. They have $1 raffle ticket and announcements every 30 to 40 minutes. Proceeds will be donated to the Ohana in Maui. So that's what's going on in there. And then there is Kona Waena Athletics presents Holiday Wildcraft Fair. Come hungry and ready to shop. They have live music, vendors, kids crafts, photo booth, food trucks, performances, games, and more. It's a free event for the whole family at Kona Waena High School. It's from 5 to 9 p.m. on December 15th, which is tomorrow. There's also Big Island Art Fair holiday pop-up this weekend at King's Shop through the weekend from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Waikoloa Beach. If you know of any other events and such that I can share, don't hesitate to let me know. I'll be more than happy to share. And so going back to what are we perpetuating, right? Buy local, small businesses, and what are we consciously perpetuating, right? Are we going to use big pharma meds, or are we going to use, for Hawaii Kingdom, la'au lapa'au? For those who, like for me, I choose Ayurveda. Those are roots culture medicine that is not toxic. It's not chemicals. It's natural remedies, holistic remedies. So for me, I'm talking about global peace and bringing we in dialogue to the conversation. And so I will be sharing some spectrums of what is really going on in the world, and calling out and kaheaing all the First Nation people, First Nations, Indigenous, Aboriginals, peoples to come together. And that's what we're trying to do, or I am specifically, for peace. Right? Peace. All religions, cultures, and traditions are unique. They are not the same because Cosmos, God, PARAMSHIVAM, is an artist, not a manufacturer. For consciousness diversity, that's the ecosystem. And so for me, I try to find similarities to bridge we in dialogue for peaceful coexistence. There's going to be some very serious things I'm going to be sharing moving forward. But I did want to do a report because I did invite everyone to the Maunakea DLNR meeting, and I did submit a testimony. I'll play the testimony. Aloha, thank you so much for your time. I wanted to say that, or submit the testimony that any kind of constructs on the Mauna Kea I'm against. I did submit the packet of legalities of the legal situationship called Hawaii. And please, I hope you go through that. It's a compilation of multiple different legal experts in the field for the situation called Hawaii. And because occupation is war, laws of war apply, making all contracts and such null and void. And so those who are looking for investments must take that into consideration before moving forward. And in order to move forward in Pono, clarifying all of those things and doing the right thing the right way is what I'm here to share. And my just heart. I know everybody is trying their best and making sense of the subjective truths and the narratives being perpetuated. But in a rush, that's not the Pono thing to do. And that's not aloha. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we got your submission late last night, so we'll make sure that the members of the authority get all of the material that you submitted. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, doing my best to be active in the community and contribute with the packet that I submitted, because I submitted it previously as well. I'm looking at reorganizing that packet as well as bringing out a packet for people. And that same packet can be used all across the board because we're talking about contracts, that's all. And everything is null and void in any war zone or occupation or conflict zone for nations that are signing members of the UN. those are contracts that they're held to, that they agreed to by signing up for the UN. And the UN is a global association. And so that's what I'll be doing. So that is the update with the Mauna from my perspective, or my subjective truth. I did put the link to the video so you can go and watch it if you want to be knowing what's going on. The next report is a very serious report because there's so much focus on Palestine, Gaza, but there's even more serious issues going on in Africa that affects all of us, because if you have any kind of technology that you're using, from computers, smartphones, and whatnot, it's on blood, and child labor, right? Blood tech and child labor, and this is a very serious situation that it's not being covered by the mass media, because the mass media is an international global corporation, and they pick and choose what they want to and the narrative that they want to push forward. And so I came across this from another video, but I chose to share this video because this one made best sense.
On fire to bring attention to the ongoing genocide and exploitation that is happening to his people in the DRC. The video is circulating all over Twitter, and now it has made its way to TikTok right now. And people are outraged. And I actually searched up the whole situation to see if there's articles on it. And no BBC or CNN or Washington Post, none of these big publications covered it, because they want to hide what they are doing in the DRC. So the man literally set himself on fire. Like, I don't even know how he can have that kind of courage, but just to like bring attention to what's happening to the people of Congo. Like, they've been exploited. Millions of people, children at the age of 4, are mining cobalt and coltan and all kinds of stuff for the tech companies and all kinds of stuff. Okay. And I don't know if you have seen the video, but it's pretty heavy. And because we need to bring attention to this issue, guys. Nobody's talking about what's happening in Africa and how these people are suffering from the same colonial power. Israel, America, Britain, France, all these people are taking advantage of these innocent people and their lives. The conflict in the DRC is fueled by the competition for the rich natural resources of the region, such as gold, coltan, and cobalt, which are used in various industries and technologies. Literally every big company, every tech company, the government, everyone is taking advantage of the Congolese people and their natural resource, which belongs to them, and they're not even profiting from it. They're being forced to mine it. First of all, do all the hard work, risk their lives, and then these people steal it from them and come and make billions of dollars worth of profit off of these people's lives. So please share this video, make it go wild, even outside of TikTok. If you see other people talking about this, nobody is covering this. There's no news articles covering this. Like, they don't care, because they're gonna lose profits if the world wakes up to support the Congolese people and also the Sudanese people and all the other exploitation and genocides in Africa. So please share this video outside of TikTok. Let's talk about this. The Congolese people desperately need us.
So I did post the link to that video, as well as the link to the article that I took the picture from. So yeah, please go and take a look at for yourself. If you are using any technology, you are directly benefiting from the oppression, genocide, slavery, child slavery of these people. So it's a very serious conversation. Yeah. That we are all concerned. We should all be concerned. So yeah, that's something that that needs to be said, because these are all indigenous Aboriginal peoples. Just like every Kanaka Maoli here that finds themselves here in Hawaii. But the thing is all of us are originally Earth peoples being shuttled around from whatever brand of slavery they want to call it at that time, including myself. Right? How did I end up over here? Or my great-grandparents? Right? All of that. That's why you should do your own, not just your own genealogy, but your spiritual genealogy as well. It will set you free. Going to be touching on the commitment that Kailaasa gave a couple days ago to make available free education globally, as that's a Hindu value. Education, food, medical care, education is free, as well as shelter and clothing. Those are fundamental rights, human rights, by the community that chooses to live this way, right? That chooses to be family oriented, making sure that the family unit is very strong, and from there build, because strong families is strong communities, strong education, everything just starts coming together that way. And so strong families are necessary, as well as empowering parents. So because of the internet making everything available, and COVID proved that homeschool and schooling from home is very much possible, we should focus on gearing towards that. And energy goes where attention flows, right? Those things will manifest as such. And so today, the announcement for the website and the link for the Kailaasa Hindu University, nhu.ecitizen.info/degree. If that is something that you are interested in, you're more than welcome to go and check it out. I did want to share a short video, because yes, there is online, there is and for Kailaasa, an integral part of the education is power manifestation. The 460 powers of Mahadeva are real, and it is an integral part of the education system. And I wanted to share a short video on it. And for those who want to go and attend physically, it's literally going to Hogwarts. Literally, just like that. I am not joking. Living at the ashram, it literally is like that. So I wanted to share a quick video on the announcement and the commitment Kailaasa has with the
Oh, what can I do? Nobody taught me. No. Your elders allowed the Gurukuls to be destroyed. That is why you are suffering. The educational infrastructure, I should say, ultimate infrastructure developed for ultimate education is Hindu Gurukul. The disciple lives and internalizes, imbibes the consciousness of the Guru. Ultimate, the space where the black hole and big bangs continuously happen. In that Hiranyagarbha, understand? In the Hiranyagarbha, if you believe Advaita is true, Advaita is true. If you believe Dvaita is true, Dvaita is true. If you believe Visishtadvaita is true, Visishtadvaita is true. If you believe Shuddhadvaita is true, Shuddhadvaita is true. Whoever gives you the powerful cognition, you reach that space.
So that's part of the foundational understandings of Hindu education. What are you being taught, right? That's very serious. But just sharing the update, the follow through with the global commitment Kailaasa has for raising the bar of education. I will be sharing probably tomorrow or another day what my syllabus. I'm not saying that that's Kailaasa's syllabus, and it probably isn't. I haven't really looked at their syllabus, but maybe it'll mirror. I'm not sure because I'm all inclusive. So we'll see what happens there. For me, I'm a secular Hindu quantum catalyst fusionist. Some of the other things I wanted to share about the hold on one second. Share about what's going on with Kailaasa. So we're talking about colonization, and we're talking about decolonizing your mind. And in that, decolonizing your mind, because of the extreme attacks by multinational corporations that NITHYANANDA Sangha has been under, that's why I'm doing the Kahea for the Indigenous Aboriginal First Nations peoples, because we're talking about the same thing by the same people, same families, hiding behind corporate names, corporations like BlackRock or Vanguard or whatever you want to call it, all of it. So our personal choices really does matter, because where attention goes, energy flows. Where you put your money is of voting. So that's why I'm saying to buy local from your farmers, from the small businesses. Buy local, keep it local. So because of the dynamic range of attacks done onto Nityananda and Nityananda Sangha, and the training that's available because of that, right? Because of that, the extent of persecution that's being done, right? Because we're talking of, for Hinduism, we're talking about intellectual theft, everything from yoga to the chakra system to everything, even from Buddhists. And the Buddhists are denying the fact that their roots and heritage is from Hinduism, but yet they still use the terminology, which to me is intellectual theft. right? It's one thing if you acknowledge I was born Buddhist, grew up Buddhist, and I acknowledge the roots are Hinduism because Buddhism could not fulfill my seeking. My seeking led me to Hinduism, and I'm very fortunate to have Swamiji as a guru. And even my seeking is so intense that it's very intense. Laser beam, nothing matters kind of intensity. And so when it comes to Nityananda and Nityananda Sanghas being attacked, I'm going to be sharing some of the dynamic spectrums of attacks, including mass media, false accusations spreading like wildfire. So and here's one.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is not a fugitive, but the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is a persecuted individual whose basic human rights have been brutally denied. Interpol has rejected any request to issue any notice for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism based on the evidence that was presented to them, clearly establishing that what the media has stated is not true. Furthermore, the media has falsely stated, quote-unquote, Nithyananda, who is wanted in India on several charges. An Ohio federal court ruled in favor of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and fined the false victim nearly $500,000 in penalty. This was in the US court, the District Court of Ohio, in case number CV 526. The unproven allegations in India of rape are false and malicious.
And that's an ongoing thing that they continuously bring up, despite it not being true at all. And so there's multiple things that the mass media does as well, including the most recent Paraguay the blown away out of proportion. And so just like the whole Congo thing, just like here in Hawaii, the Kanaka Maoli are suffering all kinds of abuses, and from atrocity material to everything. Kailaasa or Hinduism has been suffering the same thing for a very, very, very long time. And the persecution that Swamiji's been going through has been like 20 years of the same thing. And the reason why the extreme measures being done onto Kailaasa and power manifestors is because we're talking about empowering everybody with their birthright of third eye and Kundalini and 460 powers of Mahadeva. It's a birthright.
Nityanandam, we the monks of the Sovereign Order of Kailaasa's Nityananda would like to respond to many articles spreading Hindu-phobic, racist lawfare and disinformation against Kailaasa and a minority indigenous Hindu communities represented by Kailaasa. While we acknowledge the vital role media plays in disseminating information, it is alarming to witness the media's unethical stance and systematic disinformation campaign to misrepresent and perpetuate further persecution of our already marginalized and persecuted minority indigenous Hindu communities represented by Kailaasa. It's unfortunate these abusive articles were published without even consulting or contacting us. We avail ourselves of this opportunity to set the record straight. We strongly condemn this Hindu-phobic, racist lawfare and disinformation systematically perpetrated through media articles, which, as history has shown, is a weapon imperial racists have perpetuated transnationally for thousands of years. This has displaced millions of Hindus, pushing them into generations of homelessness and statelessness. The media itself is responsible and accountable for this Hindu-phobic, racist lawfare and disinformation systematically perpetrated by their coverage.
Many media articles have made false allegations and referred to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as a fugitive Indian guru. The reviver of the United States of Kailaasa, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, has dedicated his life to reviving Kailaasa. He has over 4 decades of service history and numerous accomplishments to his credit. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is not a fugitive. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is a persecuted individual whose basic human rights were denied, which is well documented with a plethora of evidence. Interpol has rejected any requests to issue any notices for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism based on evidence that was presented to them, clearly establishing that what the media has stated is not true. Furthermore, the media has falsely stated Nithyananda, who is wanted in India on several charges. It is important to note that despite nearly 15 years of malicious prosecution in India, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has not been convicted of any crime. The unproven allegations in India of rape are false and malicious. Again, this is well documented with ample evidence. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been proven innocent and exonerated in the US judiciary more than 10 years ago. An Ohio federal court ruled in favor of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and fined the false victim nearly $500,000 penalty. This was in United States District Court of Ohio in case number CV 526. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is a persecuted individual whose basic human rights were denied and subject to more than a decade of lawfare. Many prominent world-renowned human rights advocates, such as the King's Counsel Jeffrey Robertson, have given independent reports and legal opinions attesting to this. The omission of US court orders that exonerate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism of the false accusations, and at the same time, in sharp contrast, actively spreading disinformation in relation to the above-mentioned false accusations has amplified the persecution of our already persecuted minority indigenous Hindu communities of Kailaasa. We strongly condemn this racist lawfare and disinformation systematically perpetrated through the media by such false statements.
All over the media, through various articles, media has falsely stated, particularly referring to Kailaasa as a fictional country. The United States of Kailaasa is the revival of the ancient, enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, which is being revived by the displaced Hindus around the world. Kailaasa is a sovereign entity as per the international law. Unlike any other modern nation, the United States of Kailaasa provides a base for the revival, preservation, and the central administration of Hinduism. And this is similar to Vatican, which serves as the central administration for the Roman Catholic Church. The Sovereign Order of Kailaasa's NITHYANANDA, which is an atypical government, simultaneously functions as the supreme governing body of Hinduism, which is a sovereign entity under the international law. And this mirrors the unique status of the Holy See, which is an atypical government as well, as it serves as both the supreme governing body of the Catholic Church and as also a sovereign entity under the international law. Is Taiwan, Kosovo, Palestine a state? Some would say yes, others would say no. But what is incontrovertible is the self-determination, which is a human right and is enshrined clearly in various international instruments, including in the United Nations Charter. Another incontrovertible human rights is the right to freedom of religion. The United Nations Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the ICCPR, recognized by over 178 nations in its very first article, declares all people have right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. And these are the rights that are being exercised by all of Kailaasa's citizens. Kailaasa may be less recognized compared to the other states, but that does not deny the people of Kailaasa from exercising their very fundamental rights, the human rights, their political rights of building diplomatic relations and recognition. Kailaasa, by very nature, is a non-violent, humanitarian, service-oriented nation, and we are being hammered, persecuted by Hindu-phobic, Hindu-mesic, racist forces, denying us our very right to exist, denying us our right to get our recognition, and denying us our right to survive. People with a common origin, history, language, culture, customs, or religion can turn into a nation just through the awakening of the national consciousness. A nation can exist even without a state, as is exemplified by the stateless nations that exist today. Citizenship is not always the nationality of a person. Denial of Kailaasa is the denial of the fundamental human rights of Hindus. It is the denial of the right to survival and the denial of the centuries of colonization and persecution. Just like various indigenous people around the world, indigenous Hindu communities have been subjected to torment of centuries of slavery, oppression, forced labor, sexual exploitation during imperial subjugation and colonization. Hindus were trafficked as sex slaves, indentured laborers, subjected to sexual exploitation during the imperial rule. All of this has been well documented, that indigenous communities that were subjected to such imperial rule are impacted by a 50 times higher prevalence of violence against women. And such is the deep, multi-generational impact of the centuries of persecution, slavery, and sexual exploitation done against the Hindus. Millions of Hindus have lost their right to live, lost their right to practice, express their belief, spirituality, and religion, right to express their arts, their tradition, free from denigration, interference, and violence during this multi-generational, transnational, colonial racism. Hindus have been orphaned through centuries of persecution, slavery, colonization, massacres, brutalities, and worse crimes of genocide, which have killed over more than 400 million indigenous Hindus, pushing them into generations of homelessness and statelessness. The right to survival of persecuted indigenous people is delegitimized by the denial of Kailaasa, calling it a fictional country.
In media coverage, it is stated, quote, who also appear to have duped several local officials, unquote. Further, it falsely states, quote, he signed a memorandum of understanding with representatives, unquote, and further, quote, acknowledged it has gotten scammed when it signed a sister city agreement with Kailaasa, unquote. The document referenced was not a memorandum of understanding, but a proclamation. As a proclamation, there is nothing Kailaasa receives in return. Furthermore, even an MOU would have been merely a statement of possibility of contributions in the future. However, Kailaasa, without any vested interests, without anything to gain, without any obligation to contribute, has selflessly already contributed several million Guaranis worth of medical aid to support the people of the said local communities of Paraguay. Kailaasa's humanitarian aid is not gathered through taxes as most established nations, but it's instead raised through the hard work and sacrifice of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri NITHYANANDA PARAMSHIVAM, and contributions of the hard-working individuals of a persecuted minority indigenous community that are inspired to do the same and witnessing the SPH's relentless sacrifices and unshakable commitment towards this mission. Kailaasa is a sovereign entity as per international law. Kailaasa is a recognized international body and has established bilateral relations and has not scammed anyone. Organizations and institutions representing Kailaasa have established diplomatic relations with many cities, states, and municipalities around the world, bridging cultures, encouraging interreligious dialogue, and continuing our Hindu-based humanitarian services and promoting global peace through better understanding of diverse cultures. Kailaasa is committed to do more such contribution. However, it is unfortunate through the Hindu-phobic, racist articles, media has derailed these humanitarian services that Kailaasa is committed to. Hosting and publishing the abusive articles that has amplified the systematic persecution.
Kailaasa stands as a testament to the unwavering resilience of the persecuted indigenous Hindu communities subjected to the multi-generational oppression, slavery, and severe human rights violations. The United Nations, through over 13 published reports, has affirmed the documented persecution endured by Kailaasa, endorsing the veracity of our struggle. Despite facing such brutal persecution, Hinduism is the most peaceful and contributing civilization on this planet Earth. Indigenous Hindu nations have lived peacefully for more than 10,000 years without invading or colonizing any other nation. Hindu civilizations have only contributed selflessly without any hidden agenda. Likewise, despite facing all the persecution, Kailaasa looks forward to the flourishing development of people all around the world. For the past nearly 30 years, Kailaasa's ecosystems around the world have served over 1 billion free meals in total. The citizens and volunteers of Kailaasa have saved millions of human lives through various disaster relief works, medical camps, etc. In May 2021, Kailaasa opened its temple monastic community premises in India to provide multi-layer preventive quarantine as a free service for protecting people from the COVID-19 pandemic. Irrespective of race, religion, caste, nationality, gender, etc., the service was offered completely free of charge to all. In the past 3 years, through these preventive quarantine centers, Kailaasa saved thousands of lives with 0 reported cases of COVID-19. These are just some of the instances of Kailaasa's humanitarian services provided through the relentless, selfless, hard work and sacrifice of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. These sacrifices and relentless efforts of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism have inspired Hindus all over the world to donate and contribute their time, treasure, and talent towards these humanitarian activities.
We demand a sincere and an unambiguous apology for the blatant inaccuracies that have been presented in your articles and publications. A correction or a clarification acknowledging the false information and providing accurate details about Kailaasa is imperative to rectify the harm that has been caused. Your role as a responsible media entity obliges you to act in the public interest and to uphold journalistic integrity. We anticipate your prompt cooperation in setting the record straight, and in doing so, cease the perpetuation of the harmful narratives. We expect a resolute and a corrective response from the media. We're open to further discussions and providing additional information. Please feel free to reach out to us through the email contact@kailaasa.org. Thank you.
So it's continuous, right? The dynamic extent of experience, even legally, which is called lawfare, that Kailaasa has endured for very long decades, 20 years. Constant rehashing of things that is not there by the multinational corporate media houses, including this was a year or two ago, but this is the extent of what kind of brainwashing narrative that they're playing. And it was a TV series that they tried to air. I think only like a couple of them was done, and then our legal team, or Kailaasa's legal team, was able to stop it and have it removed because it is filled with false everything. And so that is what Indigenous Aboriginal First Nations people are dealing with, because all of this is about land, taking land, blood title. That's why I'm saying the things I'm saying. So this next video that I want to share is a documentation of the Supreme Court advocate sharing about Swamiji's case. And this is a long time ago, and as you can see, you'll see this is very, very long time ago, and it's still being perpetuated.
All of you know him. I don't need to introduce. Supreme Court lawyer, K.V. Dhananjay. Please.
I will request you to go through paragraphs 5 and 6. So once you go through it yourself, I would like to just briefly address you. So if you're finished reading paragraph 5 and 6, you will see that you have to read paragraph 1 now. It is just 2 lines. That the application filed by the A1 is not sustainable in the eyes of the law and opposed to the law delivered by the Honorable Apex Court. So, the CID is saying that the application which we made is not maintainable at all. Now, when they say it is not maintainable, they really did not have any need to disclose all this. Why are they disclosing all this? Because they have realized that they've made a huge mistake. So they want to be the first one to blink. They know very well that we have been watching them and that we are not going to take everything lying down. So therefore, they felt, okay, fine, somebody has to admit to wrongdoing. Before the media says something, let us be the first ones. Because if you were to go to any lawyer and ask them to take a look at this, they will say this is very surprising. If the CID is saying in paragraph 1 that it is not maintainable, there was no requirement for them to still state other things. Why are they stating those things? They are trying to wash off their hands. Because the application we have filed is unprecedented. Nobody has ever filed an application in court stating, I want the interrogation tapes. What kind of an individual would do that? You see, someone who is taken to the court will have some fear of being caught somewhere. If not for that offense, maybe for some other offense. So nobody would ever go to the court and say, I have committed no wrong, I am a sincere person, I want the interrogation tapes. Now, therefore, this application is very unprecedented because in this application, what actually the accused number 1 said is that I have committed no such thing. I never confessed to anything. I never put myself in a bad light. I completely deny. And by the way, all of these clippings which Swamiji read out actually were given to the court. We specifically denied each one of those paragraphs. We said we never said any of these things. So we said my name has been destroyed. My reputation has been destroyed. The public believes all these media stories because the media is saying CID sources, CID sources. So therefore we said we want to clear our name. That's because unless and until we clear our name, we will never get fair justice. So therefore, the CID basically realized that we are not going to leave them, so they have given this response. And as you can see, all the newspaper reports lying here, yes, of course, you are free to inspect this. What kind of a person would collect all of these papers? I just would want you to basically ask yourself a question. If this man is really guilty the way and evil, the way the CID calls him to be, do you think he would really be collecting all these newspapers? Why would anybody do that? What kind of people actually? Yes, and we have close to 300 individuals, basically, who are doing the only job of actually culling out whatever is coming in the media and then preparing it. I am saying all of this because I've been handling this case for the last 9 months. I did not know about anything about Swamiji until the scandal broke out. So therefore, I have seen nothing myself. I am supposed to basically come to a conclusion based on my experience. My experience in the last 9 months has been whatever you've been seeing. And when the CID comes forth with a report like this, I would like to ask, can any reasonable person not think that he has been framed, not think that he has been maliciously targeted? You can see all those newspapers. Some 300 different individuals are going through newspapers, through media reports on a daily basis, culling out information. And now, by the way, I'm not the only lawyer advising him. There are several other lawyers. And by the way, almost all the lawyers, leading lawyers, have been telling him that now is the time to basically hit back. Now is the time to go after the media. Now is the time to go after the CID on grounds of defamation. So I am supposed to basically tell him whether to do that or not. And what am I supposed to say? Any professional lawyer advising a client who has been so badly targeted and framed is duty bound to tell him, okay, you have no option but to go against the media now, to go against the CID. And I am honestly asking you a question. I am due to advise him a couple of days. What am I supposed to tell him? By the way, every other lawyer who's been advising him has been telling him that, we are foolish. Nobody waits. The day you receive this kind of a response from the CID, within 24 hours, you will go behind all of the newspapers and the CID. That is what all the lawyers have been telling.
Sorry, I'm not interested in going after defamation, all these things. All I'm interested in, I'm requesting you, honest. Many of you are very honest. And just understand, honestly help me to rebuild the mission. That injustice done to me. That's all I'm asking.
And by the way, there are more revelations to come. Now you might think, okay, fine. This means that whatever came in the papers is false. What about whatever is there in the charge sheet? I'm sure all of you might be having that kind of a question. What about the charge sheet? Someone has basically alleged rape over a period of 5 years and 6 years. What about those charges? Will not those charges stick? Yes, exactly. But what I mean to say is, with respect to those things, the CID has actually given a far bigger revelation. They have made a certain application which will be disclosed in due course of time. Anyone who will look at that application will clearly know that the charge sheet is nothing but hearsay, and that is all. I wouldn't like to comment anything more than to tell you, at this point of time, you might all have seen that huge fat book charge sheet. And the CID has now put in a separate application which will convince everyone that the charge sheet is nothing but hearsay. They have filed some application, and that is all I would like to tell you.
Educated but soft middle class people, silent people, when they come and beat, I don't have any security. You understand? They have tremendous rowdy power. And don't you understand? You see, I'm telling you a simple question. Because I don't want to talk about it because you asked, I have to tell. I have to talk. Just that kerosene, few liter kerosene, immediate, because it's shown in the media, immediately the police, they filed a FIR and charge sheet. But on April 21st, when they arrested me and produced in front of the court magistrate, and when I was coming out, the shoe was thrown on me in front of hundreds of media. In front of hundreds of media, a drunkard threw a shoe on me. Did they take any action? Still, they have not even filed a complaint or arrested him. Second, the person who stolen this footage and released it to media, still no arrest or no charge sheet. Don't you understand? The power they have and where I am, if I reveal the name now, you think they will let me rest? We will not have ashram for you to come tomorrow. Don't you understand? I will have to only tell in the court after I get the court protection. See, I have collected all the evidences, all the audio recording, everything is there. All the evidences are there, and all the evidences are there. I don't even want to tell what evidences. Everything is there. I'll produce it in the court. You just understand the practical side of us. I am a small, simple organization, spiritual group. You understand? Just see. No, just answer me these 2-3 things. A small kerosene, immediately FIR gets filed in 24 hours and the charge sheet happens within few days. But shoe has been thrown on me in public in front of media. All medias have shown that. Shoe was thrown on me. The police was standing around next to me. Still there is no arrest and no charge sheet. And same way the person who stole the video and released it. So understand, in this situation, me revealing the names, will it be intelligent? It will create sensational news for 2 days. But I need my people to live safely. You understand? I actually stepped back so much. I did not meet the press in the beginning just because of their threat. They said very clearly, if you come out and try to justify yourself in the press, you will not be alive. I don't bother about my life, but thousands of my disciples, just understand. Already in 17 places in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, saris have been pulled. So much abusal. In 7 places, my brahmacharis have been attacked with the aim of killing them. I am not able to file a single FIR. Don't you understand? I am not able to file a single FIR. Me or my disciples. That is the power they have. And how do you expect me to reveal the name now? Let me reveal it in the court. With all the evidence, we will put it in the court. Let the court examine the evidences, the validity of the evidences. Just see the problem, see the practical side. You understand? It is not that easy to live in this country. Please understand. When the whole establishment is against you.
ಅದು ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದೀಗ ಅದು ಸುಲಭವಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಈ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಳುವಂತ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಏನಿತ್ತು? ಈಗ ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಸತ್ಯನ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ.
Why did I tell? Because many were asking the source of conspiracy. I will have to tell the theory, na? I will have to tell what has exactly happened. I need to tell what has exactly happened. Why this and all that. Everybody was, even that I was not ready to say, but everybody was asking me, no, tell, because some media already got some news, some evidences they collected already. To answer them, I have to say, name, it's not that never going to be revealed at all. It will come into the court. Just like you see today, the court document has come out. In the court, the truth is coming out. That's all.
So, as you can see, I grasp that every country, and in my research, every country has their own, like for Hawaii, it's Oha. Every country has their own thing that colonizers use paperwork shuffle, checkmark boxes to channel Indigenous Aboriginal peoples in their legal constructs, essentially. That's essentially what it is. So, and the way that the media, the global corporate media, is perpetuating the colonizers' agendas. And so this is where having that real conversation, even from the position of being in Hawaii, because it's all connected. It's all connected. They're connecting all of it, right? So how is that? And this is where doing what is right. Right? And that's no easy task, especially when there's subjective truths, and then there's all of this programming that people filter and see things through that they're not completed, they haven't completed, and that's why for me I promote completion. Nithyananda's completion process and unclutching meditations. Because you have to remove every single layer of those filters, those programmings, those opinions, those everything, to be able to see clearly as to what is really going on. And so yeah, America needs to really take a good look at themselves, each person. So it's challenging, I get it, but right, it's a daily thing every day. So when so there's the holy book, and each based off the UN and their qualifications for their good old boy network, group, club, association, or whatever you want to call it. That's higher than the humanitarian laws of nations by, I didn't put the graphic in here, Vattel, who is the one who made it way back when, while they executed this globalization agenda. And then, of course, now, prior to the UN, it's called as the League of Nations. But the League of Nations still exists as a department under Montevideo Conventions, which is under the UN. So, and that's all Club of Rome, etc. And so they have what's called all these things. But when you really look at it, they actually just referee war and like sports gladiators. And that's why for me, I'm saying they should all just, the world leaders should handle their differences in the octagon, WWF MMA style, and whatever happens in the octagon stays in the octagon. They should go deal with their stuff. Why involve everybody else? And so one of the things that for me, I want to be a nation of one, or just me and my family. And then also empower my own posterity to have their own nation as well. And technically, to be honest, wouldn't something like the UN be ones to facilitate gang bullying of individuals? To me, those are like really serious things I think about, right? But basically what it boils down to is treaties are contracts, right? Broken treaties are broken contracts. That's why occupation is war, and we're talking about maritime law, maritime admiralty law. Laws of war apply to all nations associated with the United Nations, because those are their rules and regulations or whatnot. That's where the whole multinational corporations come from as well. Even nations are just corporations running through this, whatever it is, this commerce thing. And force majeure is a legal claim making all contracts null and void in natural disasters or acts of God, or war and occupation. That's why basically, they're all threatening, posturing themselves and threatening. And then it gets real interesting how, the WHO, the World Health Organization, somehow get all these countries, and then there's Bill Gates right smack dab in the middle of all of that. So really, I don't think so. So all of this is just all proving to me that what I've been saying for many years now is global peace treaty is actual factual global peace treaty. So anywhere now, or claiming for the global peace treaty, but only a global peace treaty is actual and factual humanitarian law with applicable remedy for full stop. So when you look at this is some ambiguous humanitarian law book. That's why, like, for me, reading it, it's just really mind-numbing, and it's filled with hypocrisies as well. And that's the reason why. It's a misdirection. And so, right, any woman, because we are the ones who bring life to this planet Earth, all of us have that cosmic PARAMSHIVAM God-given right to be like, no, we want to start our own country. You want us to, no, right? We should, because every mother or every female body is a world leader. Why? Because we are the walking temple of life. More sacred than all the churches, holy places, and human achievement combined. Why? Swamiji is a good example. He has a mother. He took body through the portal of a lady's body. He took birth. Right? The Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, all born from a mother. Or someone like Hitler, or someone like all of these multinational corporation CEOs, right? Yeah. So some very serious things to consider. What is denationalization, or not denationalization, excuse me. Colonizing the mind. How are you decolonizing your mind? It's a very serious thing, and it really does start with your everyday life. Where are you working? What are you eating? Who are you buying your things from? Are you buying it from small businesses? Are you buying it from the large corporations? Now I get it. Those corporations who have lobbyists and the whole government, that's where... I didn't put the slide in here too. Let me just go find it. This is where doing seeking, and that's why I am in full humbled gratitude for those who bless me continuously through this allowing and empowering me to continuously do the seeking required for this knowledge that I'm trying to pull together. But this is where it gets very challenging. Everybody, and I mean everybody, because it's always crickets. And I'm not joking on that. And I think maybe it's because I need to start putting out the framework of we in dialogue to get indigenous peoples to work together, because you have all of this, because all of it comes down, just like the doctors, they go into this debt slavery to who? And they just print the money out of some fart gas, right? Butt dial the print money app and fart on it, and then that's what's called the money. And it's just like, really? Right? And saying, and all of this heartstringing, whatever, oh, people need to, and then they're like, oh, but we have to pay our debts. No. No. Education should be free. That's why Hindu values matters. Where are you operating from? Where is your country operating from? What is your social structure operating from? And so now I understand. Hawaii is not America. But we do have Americans here. And in order for you to have your your rights protected. There needs to be an immigration center. You need to connect with your military JAG officers, specifically, preferably the Navy, to get an immigration or start the martial law process for the American side, because there's no protections. These are things that are American constructs. They are not Hawaiian Kingdom constructs. So Hawaiian Kingdom itself has multiple factions and their associations, right? Their groups, their Good Boy networks or whatever. That's all different, right? Everybody has a different network because we can't know all 9 billion people. So people are doing that using whatever, and a lot of that, for me, that's the reason why I'm just like, yeah, no, nation of one, because otherwise the ego and wanting to bully others starts coming, and then there's all that posturing and it's word salads to posture and make somebody less than the other for whatever reason starts coming, and that is disrespect. There's a huge, because of the colonizers and their posturing to enslave others, indigenous people, First Nations people. That's why they think it's okay, and it's not okay. And those communication styles, those are patterns, and so it gets very challenging for me to handle, because not only is there that people view me from all their different lenses, and it's just like whoa, and for me, I gotta be like, okay, yeah, they didn't do their completion, yeah, they didn't this and that or whatever. They're too focused on all kind of stuff, right? I mean, even within the Sangha, I know I'm a very uncomfortable thorn and hemorrhoid in Swamiji's behind, because I'm like, look, bro, right? We're talking about all of this injustice is done to indigenous peoples. Everybody's doing their thing, right? Everybody. Yet everyone has blood title on their hands, right? So then it becomes like, whoa, let's slow our roll. What is integrity, right? What is that integrity? And are we really cleaning up our life out of that? And so even for me, it gets very, very challenging. And I get it. I'm only blessed because I'm choosing to just full protest and full whatnot. I'm not saying that I'm humbled with the support that I'm receiving to go about what I'm doing the way that I'm doing it by everyone who has, whether small contribution or large contribution, every little bit I'm very much equally appreciative of, because without all of those pieces I would not be at all. And even my experiences in life, positive and negative, right? Because why? We're dealing with colonizers and their brainwashing and all of this posturing, and everyone is in such a mess. And so for those of us who are here to stop this trauma, to usher in a new reality of higher consciousness, it is what it is, right? So this here is American constructs, but in order to execute this properly, you must have the immigration center. First, the martial law needs to be instilled, as well as the immigration center, consulate, etc., for you to be able to properly, and this can only be executed for those who are American citizens. So let me go back to what is that, for that clarity. There's a big difference. No, that's not the one. Excuse me. So, what is it that, because even in Hawaii, that separation is there. The Boston Tea Party is still very much going on, and the British are winning by putting people into public citizen, U.S. citizen status, which is a British construct, versus American citizen or private citizen. And those avenues of handling legalities are different. I try to make my graphics as clear as possible, as well as that is America, and then where I put this green part here, Hawaii is not America, and neither are Earth peoples. Earth peoples are literally the land of the free, meaning we're talking about colonization, and colonization typically has its one Dharma, holy book, consciousness monocropping. And technically, they're trying to run away from those oppressions, yet they are the oppressor for those who are actually free, meaning all inclusive, no constructs of enslavement or caging, right? So that's a real conversation everybody should have and take a look at. I know that the way I'm bringing it and whatnot, I'm trying very to inspire self-reflection, because it comes down to every single person choosing, right? Once a child turns about 7, they're not gonna listen, pretty much. They're going to be doing whatever, and then they gotta go through the school of hard knocks, right? And then it comes down to wanting to or being inspired to, and so that's why I make the graphics I do, and I grasp that a lot of them are very sobering and have been told it's too much too fast, and I'm just like, oh yeah? Well, if it's too much too fast, just like the children who, like right now, for real, just, blessing me to even be able to communicate through this technology, those children who are 4 years old being forced to mine this stuff for these things to be created, enslaved labor, amongst other things, right? So bad, and it's going on for so long that a guy made a decision to go burn himself alive is a very humbling, because I didn't know. What are we doing, right? What are we doing? What are we perpetuating? And it matters what job you have, where you work, right? You can go research that. What kind of values? I get it. The media is selling all of this, whether it's Hollywood, Bollywood, or whatever, selling this hype, which actually is nothing. Money is nothing. Even from before, nothing could motivate me. Even more so now. Swamiji knows. There's very little bit that pretty much nothing sparks any kind of like, ooh. Yeah. One of the last things is even like food, and even that, my lifestyle, yeah, it'd be cool, have this or that when it presents itself, but for the most part, I don't even collect food. I don't hoard anything. I don't collect anything. I don't right? Only the things that I need, and even that, it's still too much stuff. I'm serious. So yeah. But yeah, what are we doing? So how do you unravel this thing? Even with the Mauna meeting that I attended, and I don't really see anybody else. I believe Ricky Torres Pastana attended. I didn't see him, but I did go through another video or whatever, and then I thought I saw him or whatever, but I can't be for sure. But I do know that he did attend the last one, for sure. But and I found it interesting that they allowed me to speak before they started anything. The next meeting I'm going to reorganize my packet and be more clear on that from the perspective of a diplomat, to inspire consideration for what they are doing, because it's the same strategies being executed globally, and the amount of attacks that Nityananda Sangha has endured is more than enough an example to, and Swamiji is an exemplary being to follow. And if you want to connect, you just send the email, contact@kailaasa.org. I do recommend Indigenous Aboriginal culture or peoples, tribes, to look at, and maybe even humbly ask for that kind of information. I'm holding the space that we all can come together, but that gets very challenging, right? Because there's a lot of egos of my way is best or whatever, but that's based on that person's subjective truth. Yeah. So even for me, I have my own subjective truth of why my feet is physically here. And the disgusting part is that just like the blade of grass that is growing outside, or the tree, the orange tree outside my house, right? Is anybody gonna be like, where's your papers, or you gotta have your subjective truth or whatever? No. Everyone's just like, well, the cosmos. Exactly, right? Why is everything different? I'm not a slave. The construct, the fact that that happens means I'm a slave, right? So we need to really redefine what is slavery. Slavery is, if there's a landlord, those social constructs have slavery built in, right? Some things to really consider, and the proposal I'm making to humanity, I'm very serious. Yeah. So more things I gotta look in and research or whatnot, but we'll see how this unfolds. I do thank you very much for your time and listening. I know that there was a lot of videos and such. I hope you enjoy your holiday weekend, but again, please consider buying from small businesses, the different farmers markets and events that are going around in Hawaii. Handmade gifts, digital gifts, regifting, secondhand gifts, consumable gifts. For me, I'm more about like those consumable gifts. Like the reason why I like to do lauhala weaving is because it's zero impact, right? Zero footprint. I really like to look at things from a full zero footprint perspective. So consumable gifts as well, because but then there's the plastic, so even that, right? What do you do? But experience gifts and small business gifts. So let's normalize things that, especially like for me, don't buy anything with a commercial. If it has a commercial, no. Then, yeah. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for listening, for being here. I'm going to close with a peace prayer. If you have a prayer, closing prayer as per your tradition, you're more than welcome to say it. But for me, prayers for peace for you, prayers for peace for me, prayers for global peace. And in that prayer, I prefer silence. Thank you. Aloha. Nityananda. Have a good evening.